We are building this car. A very different take on a Mercedes 190 EVO.
The whole objective is to make the most rad version of this car in our own taste. And it was not easy. I would say this was probably one of the hardest designs we've done yet because we knew the weight of the lineage. We also knew that HWA was doing this new version of the DTM. Then our friend Kaiser did a rendition of it as well. So we were very much aware of all of these different players in the space. And we wanted to find our own language in the shape of the car, but not lose the car itself.
How hard was it to get beyond the over fender styling? Because every version of this that you see is always either an exaggerated or modified version of the Evo 2 over fender.
We knew from the start that that was part of the formula we weren't going to go down.
There's no way we're doing another over fender. It's not working. It's nothing like us, you know?
So what part do you guys split off? Where do you start, Ash, in the whole process? And then where does Carlos take over, or how do you guys split the work?
I can tell you guys, basically, I do nothing. I just basically, I'm in Spain in holidays, enjoy the drinks, and Ash does everything.
Moral support.
Yeah.
That's not true at all.
Do you guys work on each other's projects?
It's starting to evolve into a way where Carlos and I are designing together in tandem. That's how we did the Paradigm build, actually. So, which is wonderful because Carlos and I have such an aligned taste. So it makes it really easy. And then we can also see things that the other can't see or didn't see or might have missed or something. So it's kind of a dichotomy almost in a sense. And I think that both Carlos and I, because of the time change that we have, we're 9 hours separated. So when we can have this kind of, when one of us sleeps, the other one wakes, and then kind of carry the torch, and it kind of moves forwards. And there's a thing that happens when you design or make things. You kind of, it's almost like the same thing that happens to your brain when something smells bad, and then you eventually deal with the smell because your brain goes, we've already smelled this, and it doesn't matter, so don't be distracted. Put your focus on other things. When you design, you start to believe your own lies, and the design goes bad after a certain amount of time of looking at it. So fresh perspective without like fresh objective perspective is super important, and that's what we offer one another. So I don't know if there's a way for me to really say when things shift or when things cut clearly between us. I think it's just like an amalgamation of full collaboration, which is, I could be wrong, but Carlos, that's kind of, it's hard to really say where it starts and ends. It kind of just, now at least, it's all completely blending together. So, yeah.
But it's true, we have our egos really check out, and we know exactly what is the independent strength for each one of us.
Yeah.
So we are allowed to, all right, could you do this? I can do that. So we are in this kind of position where we are trying to get the best of our skill set, knowing what is our strength, even though we are pretty similar in that way, also tasteful and skills. But I can reckon certain abilities with Ash. It's just over the roof. Like, yeah, man, you just go full on. You know, it's just
Same. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that's probably a struggle, even in our shop. People get so heavily invested in their idea that generally, like, so I think your guys' situation is fairly unique because people tend to get go on the defense, trying to explain why they did something rather than accepting that the new version, like the input, may be better. Does that make sense? Am I saying that correct?
Yeah, it's really difficult. You have to be in a state of complete trust, and like in a culture that that is, it's hard to have that. I think I've never encountered it in all my years of working with creatives. I mean, I've had it in little moments and with other friends of mine that I've collaborated with, but I think what makes this unique is there's just like intrinsic trust that occurs. That's been really strong. So we were able to like really bounce things around and play with these things and like really explore ideas. And yeah, there's this nice kind of tandem thing. But I would say let's say my wife might give me feedback and I'm instantly defensive because not because of my relation with her. I love her advice and her thoughts, but she wasn't involved in the creative process, you know. So, and then when I get outside feedback, it sometimes makes me defensive, you know. So I guess for me, as a creative person, it kind of gets really difficult to kind of like split between those two worlds. So, but yeah, it's a really interesting thing that Carlos and I have. I've never encountered it before. I think it's one of the most rare things, and it's the thing that's teaching me is that this whole thing's all about alignment. Because if you have a misalignment, even a small one, it just takes up so much energy, and it's almost like, damn, you know, what is this even worth it?
Oh, what I can tell the story about, try to explain to my mom how we work together. It was kind of surprising. My mom's 65 years old. All right, Carlos, how you guys both work? So imagine that situation. All right, Mom, this is the way we work. And I realized, oh shit, I don't know. So I tried to explain her how it works. And I realized, oh yeah, all right, Mom, how it works is because we are so aligned in terms of taste. We have almost 90% alignment. The last 10%, it doesn't matter. It's just 10% against to 90% is a lot already. So it doesn't matter really. So we just basically flow depending on the project. So yeah.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah, just trust one another's instincts and push one another too. We have, I think we might have mentioned this before, but we try to make each other cry. That's like the thing, like
Make each other cry.
like, yeah, so if we're like doing something where we're competing in a sense, like competing, but it's like if we're doing dual cars like independently, we push one another hard, but it's like from a like a loving situation. It's not like toxic masculinity stuff. It's like it's more like playful fun. Because we both know we're just having fun, and we're at the end of the day we're just making CGI cars. You know, it's like this isn't. But we're both we both have big egos, and we both are very
competitive.
very big on like we're very competitive. Yeah.
That's a very rare thing, and it's a super valuable tool to have within your team, is to push each other to go to the next level. Okay, let's always be pushing, always be moving forward, and it's a rare thing. You know, we've been chasing that in our little shop, our little world, for our entire lives, our career, and you guys definitely seem to be doing that. And the things that you guys are creating independently and as a collective is looking absolutely stunning. So it's amazing. It's nice to
It is. It's amazing, and I cannot be more grateful and fortunate to be with such a beast in terms of relationship, and it's great. It's been, I don't know how 3 years intensely nonstop.
Yeah, we've known each other for a while, but we've been going pretty hard with this. Yeah. You guys as well at your shop. You guys have been working together for a long time.
We've worked together the entire time. So
Since
like 20 years. Yeah.
Wow, 20 years. That's a huge endeavor. Yeah.
So I mean, like I get super defensive if someone, you know, comes after me. I love getting in the comments with people on the internet.
Oh man, that's a dark space right there. Yeah.
My wife calls it playing chess. She's like, that's like your version of playing chess. But like the
chess.
Yeah, the back and forth between me and Rob is like, because he knows the entire context of the situation, of whatever we're working on, whatever the parameters are, whatever the boundaries are. When he gives his opinion, I appreciate it because I know he knows everything. But like, you get that same criticism from the internet. It's like, there's no boundaries. Like, spare no expense. Like, why didn't you use this off of the P1? You're like, well, let me explain to you why.
And no perspective too. A lot of times.
No reason. Like we're working within a budget, a timeline, all these different things that like you don't have the time to explain all this stuff. But when you ask for advice from, you know, like, what do you think of this? And it's like, and you get an opinion, you're like, oh yeah, I didn't think of that.
That's all super cool. We clash often. So your guys is 90-10. I mean, we're not quite way up there. Our personal tastes are way different.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But it's good because it kind of pushes each of us into like new spaces. Like I'm always trying to learn something different, and it's entirely different than anything that Tim might want to learn and sort of explore. But that's kind of what makes a good team, you know, move way farther forward, I think, is coming together like that. Have those little moments of clash, have those disagreements, see one another's perspective, and then come to a sort of a common space.
And a lot of times it's just helping out the other person achieve what they're trying to do. Even if you don't necessarily like it, it's like, I want to do this. And it's like, okay, well, we can probably approach it like this. So we don't necessarily always agree on the aesthetic because we have vastly different aesthetics. But like the process is like, that's where we come together on how to execute. So that's part of it is pretty cool. But it takes a long time, and not to take offense, because you can work on something for 5 days and I'll come up and be like, why didn't you just do it this way? And it's just like, oh, you're just like, fucker. Why did you come here 4 days ago?
What? It's like your whole world just crashes.
Crumbles.
Like you're so right. Why the hell didn't I do that?
Totally understandable too. Yeah, because it's like why would you do something that with that much intention and with the thought of doing it wrong, you know? So when somebody comes in and he corrects you, it could go both ways. Like, shit, or that takes a really like, you have to be fundamentally sound in who you are in order to take that in. Like, all right.
So very true. So very true. So easy. The ego can just be like, fuck you, man. No way. I'm right. You're wrong. That's it. No,
the ego it's in your way too, or it actually helps you too. It just depends on like the situation. Yeah. Depends on the goal, I suppose. Yeah.
This is so true, right? And we talk about it a lot. Like, what's your intention with whatever it is that you're working on? Like, we talk about that often. Like, if its intention is to do something very specific, then that's a very specific goal that you have to work towards, and it takes certain sort of skills and sort of thought process to achieve that. If it's something entirely different, then obviously it's an entirely different mindset.
I feel like I just realized I haven't even done the intro yet.
I came back in the room and you guys were talking so serious. I was like, oh shit, let's go.
No, so I'm just gonna do the intro and then we're gonna dive into the topic. But welcome back to another episode of Modify with TrickFactory Customs. If this is your first time watching, my name is Elvis.
Tim.
Rob.
And we have some amazing guests today. So you guys introduce yourselves.
My name's Carlos.
Hey,
Colorsponge. I speak Spanish, but mostly my accent is gone. I'm awesome. Most people know me as a CGI god.
Okay.
Wow. Man. You will address me as such.
I know. Oh my gosh! And then what's your intro?
I can equal that level.
Where do you go from that?
Don't be shy.
That Spanish is just perfect. Job on that one.
Pequeño. Papi.
Bien hecho, amigo. Bien hecho. But, so yeah, basically I'm Carlos Vecino, Colorsponge, aka Colorsponge, and CG artist working in automotive for 15 years, and now doing some adventure with this guy. With, what is your name?
Carlos.
Forget about it.
We're both bald, and we're 2 days apart.
That's true.
Age. Yeah.
Really proud, bald.
Yeah. Come on, let it out, man. Nice. Don't put it away.
It's not the right moment yet.
Yeah, okay, later on in the conversation,
I gotta ask, because I saw this yesterday, you three being bald, where do you stop washing your face? Like, how far?
That's a really good question, then.
Yeah. That is actually good. I just do until
the whole thing.
Whatever I feel the day, you know.
Yeah. Sometimes it's here. It's on the back. Sometimes it's here.
That's a good
question. The other question could be, how big is your face, right?
I know.
Where does it? I got a big forehead, so I know where my.
Oh my!
I like
gosh.
that on your free time. You're just like, what do they do with their head?
And what's their skincare regime?
Thoughts before bed.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
I wonder what Ash does with his face. How does Ash wash his face?
Where does his face end?
I know.
Wow. Things are getting weird, boys.
I know.
It's a no man's land. It's called no man's land.
I know. We should get, what's the name of the bald guys? No shave club. something.
Oh, yeah. What are they called?
Dollar Shave Club or something?
No. Manscaped.
Oh, yeah.
We should reach out to Manscaped.
Yeah, get some sponsorship.
It's too late for me,
sponsorship up in
but
here.
yeah, it's good for you guys.
Get dude wipes as well.
Oh my god.
Rob and his eye splinter.
I could use that.
Yeah.
Just keep those right here. I could use it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we've been working on a project that you guys might have seen. You guys referring to people on the internet might have seen or heard of. It's a one. You guys are going to talk more about it, but because I want to get you guys' perspective, because you approached us a while back about building this car, and it is a very unique take, or a very different take on a Mercedes 190 EVO, and we are building this car, so that's going to be pretty cool. So I just want to get you guys' perspective on this whole process, because it's been a process, especially for you guys designing this whole thing. So yeah.
Wow, it's a big one, Carlos, or Ash. I mean, yeah. Carlos, you
Identity.
Damn it.
You go, man. You go.
Oh man,
You go.
Some method actor I am. Carlos, you want to go?
No, you go. You go.
Okay. The process. I mean, it's been a long process. Yeah, we were thinking about doing this for a while, and this is a unique car where, and we'll get into this more, I'm sure, but this is a unique car where it's been touched and modified and adapted and shifted through many different phases and through many different hands, and we're kind of like on another wave of it being modified again. And it also has racing lineage and all these things from DTM, and there's this whole kind of heritage behind it as well. So we were well aware of the box that the design was going to put us in. So we had multiple iterations of the. So the process for this car was Carlos and I designing it and doing it together in tandem, working in tandem, and yeah, it was not easy. I would say this was probably one of the hardest designs we've done yet, because we knew the weight of the lineage. We also knew that HWA was doing this new version of the DTM, which is more wilder than that as well. So we're very aware of their amazing work and just seeing how that was done. And then our friend Kaiser did a rendition of it as well. So we were very much aware of all of these different players in the space, and we wanted to find our own language in the voice and the shape of the car, but not lose the car itself, because it's so easy. It's a really thin line. And if you don't believe us, if you're listening to this, you don't believe us, try to do it, because it's really difficult. And I don't know how to describe it any other way other than it took Carlos and I both working pretty hard for a couple of months to try and figure out the exact ratio, the language, the line language, and all these kind of things too. So, but the process was very collaborative. Carlos and I just worked in tandem back and forth, and we would just do long calls where we would sketch and draw and then have an idea and pass the file back and forth between us. And which is kind of a testament to how we work. That's kind of something we were mentioning earlier, is like no ego gets checked at the door, and the whole objective is to make the most rad version of this car in our own taste and what we think is great. And so that was like distilling down what is the key formula of this car, what makes it interesting, what makes it unique, and then removing all of that and creating a new recipe on top of it, and then trying to add upon that without going too far. But obviously we went pretty freaking far with this thing. So, yeah. If you see the stock car compared to what this is, it's just like, what in the hell? So yeah.
I think you guys have done pretty well. Because I've been through this whole thing, and this particular platform people are so passionate about, and in their eyes it's like absolute perfection, and you can't mess with it in any way. So that must have played, it had to been in the back of your mind a little bit throughout this process. But I mean, based on everything that has been, like all the comments that I've seen, like you guys hit a home run on this one. Because I saw one guy, and I was just like, whoa, I was so upset. I was ready to go to war with him. And he's also a designer that followed us, and I was like, oh man, what?
He was mad about it. He was not happy about the design.
Yeah, he called it rubbish. He's like, absolute rubbish.
I'm going to find this guy.
What are you talking about? He's like, man, I was like, you need to explain. Like, you have to. And then I never heard from him again.
Wow.
What is your credential?
I know.
Yeah, exactly. I was like
Yeah.
so offended for you guys. I was ready to like go to his house.
Show
No,
up
but
at his door.
it's true. It's true that we knew we started with this car. We knew there's gonna be a high pressure because of our own baggage about this car. What it means, the legacy of this car, is crazy. It's like I'm messing around with a Porsche. Be careful with that. So,
Well,
with
Porsche
this
guys
car-
are a whole nother level.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, exactly. So we knew there's gonna be a massive challenge, but I didn't expect this challenge. It was, I mean, at least for me, it was sometimes really hard to just look in the sketch like something is not working. I don't know what it is. So it's because that your brain tricks you in different ways because your subconscious telling you that is not the Mercedes EVO. That's something else. So unless you unlock that door and go wild, all right, let's find a new language for that car, and then you are free to explore. But until then, you are locked because your brain just tricked you really bad. So yeah, it was a long process. I think I don't know how many sketches we did.
So many.
Wow.
We had to kind of
10?
unlearn all of the design language from everything we've seen before. Also, this car is close in perspective and formula to one of my all-time favorite sedans, the BMW M3 30 M3, and not going too close to that because that has that boxy formation. It's extremely beautiful sedan, and so we didn't want to go and step on those toes as well, given the rivalry between these two brands. So we had to kind of unlearn everything by exercising every bad idea out and then letting the new ideas come in once we understood it. And we always start with the side profile. Those that know what we do and how we do it, we almost always start with the side profile. We call it a signature of a car. Once you have the signature of the car, you understand the ratios and how everything cuts. You can translate that then into the front and the rear, and everything else can kind of transcribe from that language, and you can find a nice flow. But the side profile is the thing that really held us up. And I think it was one of the breakthroughs was we changed the wheel arch line and angle language. As soon as we did that, it gave us a lot of freedom. We also lifted the front fender line higher than the stock hood line. And by doing that, it changed the whole stance and pushed the car into the ground and gave it an angle feel without it changing the overall appearance. So there's so much done to this car, and I know you guys are going to experience it and see it firsthand, because once you start to go into the process of developing and building it, there's going to be so many differences. You're going to be like, what? It's a full-on bespoke one-of-one kind of idea thing here, you know? So
Yeah.
Which I can see, and then so many people have already hit up thinking that this is going to be a body kit, and I was like, well, this is so far beyond a body kit.
No.
yeah,
Like, we're
I don't
making
know
a
how
whole
to do
new
it.
car.
Yeah, because you have to do a chassis up, kind of, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so gnarly. There's
Yeah.
you'll have your contact points, but yeah, it's it requires a serious group of people that have the best intention to make the best thing possible, because it's so much work. But yeah, but our process is, I think our process has grown a lot from this. Thanks for that question. I think our process has really developed and grown, and I feel like the failures and the hard ones are the things you learn the most from, and I feel like we learned so much from this, and I feel like it's made us better designers. It's also made us better collaborators together, and it's allowed us to understand our language together better, and it's allowed us to really flex that muscle. And a big shout out to our friend Alexi, is this incredible modeler. Carlos and I have been really busy with a bunch of things going on, and he's been an incredible modeler. He basically took all of our sketches, lines, the splines, everything we had, and through it was like 2 months or so, maybe 3 or so. He even took the scan that you guys had provided for us, because we based everything off of like millimeter accuracy based on the scan. That's a whole nother thing we can talk about too, is like the future of what car building looks like potentially with technology involved.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a big shout and a big thanks to Alexi, because he was like an incredible partner in bringing this to life too. So we did some of it on our side, but Alexi modeled the lion's share of this thing, which is awesome. So yeah, it's tons of effort.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty amazing too, because it looks like you guys spend a lot of time on this, but you also know that it's also going to be a lot of effort to build too.
Oh, yeah.
because I feel like we've talked about it before, but the translation from design to actually building is the difference is huge sometimes. And Tim has also mentioned that working with some designers in the past of things just get too wild, and it gets to a place of like just moving this little line here. It's like $10,000, $20,000, worth of work. And so it's really cool that you guys recognize that. And just talking on the styling a little bit, there are so many details, even from the little images or the images you guys release for like a teaser images, and it looks like every little part of the car was touched, which is just so cool. And it's amazing. Like you mentioned, whenever you brought up, you almost sunk the car down and brought up the arches up out, that gave it such a sick stance. And yeah, so there's just so many details on this car, and so we're very excited to bring it to life. So I'm sure it's going to be a challenge on
stressed, anxious.
Gentlemen, is there any part of this car at all that was untouched, like say the roof skin or that birdcage structure? Did you guys maintain that to sort of keep with the 190 sort of vibe, so it's like recognizable and yet so incredibly modified?
Yeah, we don't really mess. We try not to touch the greenhouse too much. That's usually the part that retains that part of the signature, and everything else has an amplification up or down depending on what the design needs. We kept the wing completely stock because the wing's incredible and amazing. What else, Carlos? I think the grille in the front we kept. No, that's been modified too.
Modified, possibly the taillight.
Taillights are taillights are
taillights.
Yeah, the taillights are stock. So when you guys started this process, how hard was it to get beyond the over fender styling? Because every version of this that you see is always either an exaggerated or modified version of the Evo 2 over fender.
Yeah.
So departing from that must have been, like, making that decision must have been difficult.
Or was it easy?
Or was it easy? Or it was like that. One of the first things is like, we're not going where everybody else went. We're doing something totally new.
Yeah, I think we knew. I think that we knew from the start that was part of the formula we weren't going to go down, because we didn't want to do an over fender. We wanted to do an entire fender. Yeah,
but it's
and
true.
a fender. Yeah.
It's true. It's sometimes you want to try it just for the sake of we tried that, and immediately we knew there's no way we're doing another over fender. It's not working. It's nothing like us. I think you guys mentioned that. I think Elvis, you mentioned the amount of detail you see in our renders. All the parts are kind of unique. I think it's byproduct by considering every single angle, as is because part of the process. We spend crazy amount of hours just rotating the car and putting in different lights and different camera lens, so be able to see all the possible angles, because that's really tricky, because CG car you see with a kind of a virtual eyes is not really physical thing. So we are trying to cover all the angles, all the lenses, where you can see the car in different lighting or positions. So that's why the car looks, we tried really hard to put the car in different positions to make it look good. So we consider almost all the details and bring something 2% here, 5% here. The overall percentage, it made the car unique. It just subtle changing here, there, like what is the height of the fender, and that fender connected with the door, what is make that connection. So we consider all these small details what make the difference.
Yeah, you can see it. You can see the amount of effort that you guys put into it on that level, because it shows, and you look at it and you're like, okay, that's very likely, could be a very real car. Every single little angle and like that light perspective that you're talking about shows all those little lines and how they sort of interface with one another, and it's amazing.
Yeah, so, it seems like a very natural evolution of
that design.
The evolution, even though it doesn't really share anything with it, but it seems like when you look at it, it's very obvious of what it is, but it doesn't look like the original at all.
No.
So, I mean, you guys nailed it in that respect, because it doesn't have all those little obvious little cues that you would expect to see. And it's crazy.
we did our best to remove a lot of those things. And talk about alignment. That's perfect. That's exactly what we look for in a partner to do these things, is that alignment, that you understand our intention and you get it intrinsically. Because I remember Carlos and I were still in the sketch phase, and I had reached out to you guys, and I was like, hey, I know you guys have an affinity for this car. Carlos and I have a pretty wild idea. You have any interest? And you're like, yeah. And then I sent you the sketch, and you're like, yeah, we're gonna build this. It's like, it's like, yes, dude. You jumped right into the pool of madness, because I know that you know that this is just gonna be like an incredible challenge. You guys gonna, but at the same time, the amount of lessons and things you're gonna learn in the process of it, it's like, what a fantastic journey it's gonna become. Like you guys know this first and foremost. Like building your own thing is far more significant and special than just buying it. There's pros and cons to both of those things, but when you build something that's significantly unique like this, which is going to be a one of one kind of concept, it's unique in its own, in itself, you know. So but that alignment is awesome, and that enthusiasm is incredibly important, and you kind of have to have that, like, yeah, why not? You know, anytime I've ever made big growth is like I kind of jumped into it with like almost a childlike approach without thinking about it. Yeah, it's just like youthful enthusiasm. Yeah, it's just like I'm going in and it doesn't matter. And then I'm sitting in the middle going, as an adult, like, what the fuck? Put me in this hole, man. Why did I make these decisions? But I'm sure it's going to be not easy, but at the same time, if it was easy, everybody would do it, you know. So yeah,
so true. I mean, we when we first started that conversation with you guys, and it was like, oh yeah, we need to build this car. Like, it was undeniable. Like, probably, I don't know, we'll see how it works out, but maybe not the best business decision in the world. And like, most definitely the youthful enthusiasm, sink or swim, let's go, right? We're gonna learn a lot of amazing things along the way on this. We're gonna get an opportunity and to work with amazing people, create some new relationships, and bring this vision that you guys had to life, because it needs to be alive. It needs to be a real thing. And I know we're blessed that you thought to reach out to us, because this opportunity is amazing. And you know, I could talk all day long about how grateful we are for the opportunity to bring this thing to life, because this car is this is an amazing car, and this is what needed to be done. It's you guys have unlearned some of the language that car, well, the language of that car, and brought your own language to it in a way that just looks, like Tim said, is like the natural evolution of what would that car be today. You guys nailed it. This car needs to live, and we're gonna build this car.
Yes.
Whether or not it's a good idea or not, we're doing it.
Yes. And so
I love that.
I just want to, you mentioned earlier about the intersection between technology and, I don't know, design, building, because we had this car 3D scanned, or we had a model or an actual car 3D scanned so we can get the dimensions. And so I kind of want you guys to kind of dive into that, and so you can also chime into on what that looked like and what that's going to look like. I guess you building it and you guys designing it, and how that translated.
Yeah, Carlos.
Yeah, it's a tricky process, because when we got the scan, we got so wild ideas, and the main one, it was cut the car in half without considering you guys building it. So when you guys reach out again and say, hey, yeah, we're doing it, I was like, oh, really? Yeah, that's it?
Yeah.
You guys doing it? And but yeah, for the process, it's just it's always, we have to keep in mind to have a certain rules from reality. We can go wild, yes, why not? But we know for certain collaboration, it's good to have a really strict rules and be really following those rules really strict. And but yeah, I think having the scanning was for us is just a game changer.
Massive.
I feel like when we have the scan, we are in rails, and we have really tight rules, which is give us constraint and that in this case is really good thing to have constraint to reality, where we can play rules or we can break rules, but always with this specific constraint, which is really good. I actually love it. This kind of a new approach, which we can talk about it. It's been a long journey for both of us, and now we are doing this together as a designer, and it's something that is mind blowing. We able to do this kind of approach, short corners, and going straight away to you guys and build something together. You think about 15 years ago was what? Scan, printing, and building this kind of quality car. It's insane. It doesn't make any sense. And I think I'm talking from my side. I'm still like I'm learning a lot. I'm still like on this roller coaster of emotion and knowledge, and we just ride the wave and see where it goes with this. But pretty exciting, actually.
Yeah, bridging the gap using technology as a device really helps. For me personally, in my own life, I've not built something to the extent of this, obviously, and I've done, I've had about 20 different cars, and I've done a bunch of stuff to them, so I have a decent understanding. That's when I would do stuff with Ken, when I'd work out with Ken Block, when we do stuff, he loved that I understood how these things work, so I wouldn't go off the rails. But I still like to go off the rails a little bit, because you might as well, But we have this technology, we have all these new tools, and they're not easy to use. They're still kind of in their nascent state. They're still being developed, but what they do is they make the future malleable. And you can shift and adjust and bend reality a little bit more. And as Carlos said, one of the big practices that we might not mention is that we sit and meditate on the car and the forms and the lines and everything for hours before it actually gets to you guys or anybody else that sees it. We sit and look at it from all angles and see how it works, because it could look good from here, but if you go up here, it doesn't look really good. Why does this fender feel off from that one, and so on and so forth? Because everything's a relation. That's why we do the start with the side, and then the side impacts the front, and then all these things kind of come from there. But yeah, using this technology and really implementing that and really pushing it has been like one of the kind of like, I feel like we're in this renaissance period with all of these things where technology is meeting art, and then art is meeting commerce, and everybody's together cumulatively taking the risk and the leap. And you guys are doing it. Like when you guys are like, oh, we got a new computer, we got a new scanner, we're investing in this, and it's like, that's awesome. Like you could say like, nah, we're not going to do that, or we're going to cheap out and go somewhere else or whatever and make excuses. But you're like, no, we're going to take control of this because we see this as the future of what we do. And that's a bold move, and there's not a lot of people that are willing to do that. So I want to give you guys props for like being incentivized and actually thinking forwards and actually pushing forwards for this, because we mentioned it. If we don't have the scan, it's gonna be really sketchy, and it's gonna cost a lot later on. Yeah. And just the shit, this is missing like an inch of material, and everything is off. You're like, well, I was gonna
say, like, this whole process brings like a huge amount of confidence for us, because we know that it can be this, like exactly this, because like the way so many of these other things go, like once you start, I guess, getting into it and reverse engineering it, and then it's exactly that, like, oh, if we move this has to be an inch from what this was, and now it looks wacky, and like that inch can ruin an entire project. It's like, how many Lamborghini kit cars have we seen where it's like they just moved it that much, and now the whole thing, you can see it from a mile away. You're like, that is wacky looking, like that's so wrong. So it's like, this brings us the confidence. So as soon as you see it and it's based off of the actual scan, it's like right away you're like, yeah, perfect, because I know I can make it look like that. I know it's possible to make it look like that, and away we go. So it's like, it helps a lot. Like, it's been a huge transition for us.
Actually, I have a question for you guys. Yeah. Sorry, Ash.
No, go ahead.
Go on. I have a question for you guys. When the moment we share the renders, aside of, all right, that's cool, I love this car, what was the immediate reaction for your brain saying, oh, that's a red flag. Oh, what is this? Oh shit, that's shit.
No, there's a lot of red flags. I was gonna say, like, this car is riddled with red flags, but they're like, they're challenges, and that's been the awesome thing about it, is like, we have all these things that we've learned to do, and different technologies that we're playing with, and like this has given us a focal point to apply all of these things that we want to explore anyways or invest in, and it's given us like a reason to do it. But at the same time, it's been almost from the very first render, as many hours as you guys put into this has almost been like, I don't know, how long have we been in this process?
6 months,
like 6,
maybe?
7 months. It's almost been a continuous conversation since that very first image. So it's
cool.
like, it's been,
What a gift.
yeah, it's been all day, every day. And it gives you, like, I've been,
Something to chew on.
yeah, constantly. So we go back and forth, like, hey, I was thinking about this. What about if we do this? If I do this? And then even in conversation with other people that have come and like, holy shit, you guys are building this thing? What are you doing about this? And it's like, well, we're milling all these different, you know, and I'm researching different engines, and like everything that's passing through my mind is like, I just saw some hybrid V8 Hayabusa engine. I was like, oh shit, maybe we'll use that. And then all the way we go. So it's like this ongoing just flood of conversation, and it's awesome. It's amazing. So it like gives you a reason to do all these things, and a motivation, and yeah, it's like, but again, it's a lot of investment. Like the casual conversation yesterday is like, how do you feel about this 3D printer? It's awesome. Should we buy this big one, or should we just buy 4 of these? And it's like, well, I think we should get 4 of these. And then like in that casual, like, oh, there's $6,000.
Yeah, easily.
It's like, we got to get this thing rolling. So what's going to be the fastest, most effective way? So it's like all these little challenges and nuancy little things, but yeah, it just needs to be what it needs to be. So we have to overcome all of those challenges, and that's most of what the conversation has been. But it's not going to be an easy car to build. Like like but it's going to be awesome.
No, I'd say like some of my first emotional thoughts, you know, was kind of like fear, you know, and like, oh shit, what are we getting involved in? And like the challenge that comes along with that is like, I really don't know how to do that yet, but the anticipation and the excitement of getting into that and figuring that out, and you know, as coming close to as mastery as possible, you know, in a new skill set is something that like you drive for. Like this is why we're moving forward, and I think like that's kind of what life is, and this is kind of like that. It's like just embracing the fear of it, and coming out stronger in the other end.
Yeah, because you guys have a business, and you guys have clients, and you have to keep the lights on, you have families to provide for, and all these things. It's not easy to make these choices. Be like, we're going to go headstrong into something that's going to be very challenging, very expensive, not only on cost of parts, but labor and time and intensity of time. I think this is something that's often overlooked, and I don't overlook it, and I'm always considerate of it because I know how much, just even a general idea how much work and time it takes. But it's when you see something that's really quite special and brilliant out in the world, it's not the thing, it's the people behind the things. And it does take a tribe to do these things, and it takes, you know, people might hate on a certain thing, whatever, but like whenever a car gets to the public market and it's been homologated, it's an accomplishment. It's a feat of effort. You know, it's so many things that had to gone right in order for it to happen. And so when you see something individually made by an individual small group of people, and it's done well and it's done brilliantly, it's like, it's something to be praised and something to be celebrated. And we see it now, and people can celebrate it with like the singers of the world and these beautiful works of art that have been carefully crafted and to be, you know, refined jewels. I'm just using them as an example, but there's numerous people and coach builders and people that are actually making things that are unique, and it's awesome. And it's such a beautiful ecosystem, you know, if you think about it. It's not the car, the thing, it's the people, the challenge, what you just said is like, man, there's fear involved. It's like, that's exactly where you want to be. There's just enough fear to keep you curious, you know, which is just like, that's the best shit ever. That's where Carlos and I make the biggest leaps. Like, oh shit, this is a new program. This is a new operation. This is a new thing. Oh fuck. We don't know anything about this. And it's like, okay, we'll figure it out as we go. And
yeah, I will say something like, maybe because my journey is about always, I think both of us, we are always looking and learning about new tools. Technology is part of our journey. But something is a massive shift, at least for me, when I'm working with someone else, and like you guys, they're going to build our own design. So I have that responsibility in my shoulders. I cannot get away with that one. I take it, you know, because I know what I'm doing. But I'm still having that kind of on the cliff. I'm a fear, but at the same time I'm confident. So I kind of, this is something new I never been to before. So I feel this, and it's something new. I think having Ash as a partner is always super helpful. It's not the same you alone than both of us supporting each other. So if you feel a little bit insecure, it's fine because I got him. Just we can work it out.
Holding
and
hands.
that is a massive shit. Well, that's probably.
That's another thing we say. Oh, come on, holding hands. Yeah, holding hands into the sunset.
Yep.
Yeah, not being alone is really essential. Like sharing the burden is really great. As we mentioned, it's like passing the torch, ships in the night, that kind of thing. It's like sharing the burden of stress. Yeah, just really good.
Yeah, I try really hard before with my dog, but my dog seems like it doesn't like CG and all stuff. So
Yeah.
Communication is
Oh,
limited
yeah,
too.
it's key. It's key. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is cool too that you're also still feeling. You just mentioned fear as well. Like you're seeing the weight of the responsibility too, because like in building it and all of that, and that is also translating to the design language too and everything. It's cool that you guys again understand that part of it and how much it would take, or like a glimpse of what it would take to build it too. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of layers to it. Because even my girl saw it on our social media when we dropped it, and she's like, "We talk about this thing that you put up." I was like, "Yeah, what about it?" She's like, "Is this something we're building?" I was like, "Yep." And she's just like, "Here we go again."
I'm sorry. I'm going to say sorry.
So it's like there's a lot. Once you have to tackle all these layers to get to the building the car part is easy. It's the infrastructure and the foundation. And
So
This
guys,
doesn't have
that's
to be
like
built
that.
overnight, too.
That's like
It
that other side of fear right there, right?
Many layers of fear.
Yeah, he's the devil on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, and the devil's like, come on. It's true. But
Yeah.
the cool thing is it doesn't have to happen overnight. And if there's a will, there's a way. We could try to find partners, and there's a lot of ways to make this happen. When cool things are being done by cool people, the community grows naturally.
well, we've already had people, like, even in the time of putting it out, you can tell that it's special because right away, like, there's been people that we've tried to go back and forth with, and then now you put this out there and it's like they're just coming out of the woodwork, like, I need to be involved in this.
Wonderful.
Like, I know I explained in the past that I couldn't participate, blah blah blah, based on their own whatever life situation, and then now it's like I'm ready to go all in, like, let's make this thing happen. So it's like it's been pretty cool.
Powerful. That's the power of CGI too. That's one thing that Carlos and I try to lean on as a strength, is that you can see it in reality almost before it's there. So the impact is really strong. And we decided when we decided to do this together as a group, we realized that it was going to be best to share the process with everybody as we're doing now and talk about it at great length and share, like, to document it rather than hide it, build it all up in secret, and then explode it at the end. We feel like it's got a longer life and it's going to have more of a legacy just from the concept of building it and documenting the process, especially because you guys are a unique shop where you do document the process, you talk about what you're doing, you expose the way you do things as well. So there's a beautiful value to not only yourselves and your legacy, but the community at large to see, oh, wow, that's an interesting thing. Because at the end of the day, the people that are truly into this, they're just into problem solving. They're into figuring out how to make something unique that wasn't there before them. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. And so, oh, sorry, you wanted to say something, Carlos?
It kind of a stupid thing. It's coming back to the internet
be
comments.
mean.
But
Carlos,
that's quite
Carlos.
interesting. But guys, about the internet, so many people and everyone is commenting. But something like I reflect on it, and something I want to mention, because it's true, we have a massive respect for you guys, the builders. We are CG artists and we do crazy shit and nobody get kills. You guys, we will get killed sometimes. It was one comment, and it was because I dropped some images and saying, it's really difficult to CG and it's really difficult doing mix of technique of modeling, designing, all that. And I remember one comment mentioned like, "Oh, really? You think CGI artist is really hard? You could just try build a real car. You will see." I was like,
Oh my
"Man,
gosh.
I don't want to, piss you off about building a car. I'm talking about my own world, my own bubble. It's tricky. I'm not saying what you guys is difficult, but it's something funny here.
I think it's a big disconnect still, and it's like I don't know how you guys would go about exposing it, because you discuss the hours, and I understand it. Like, we're doing a project for another shop right now, and it's like Alex has like, I don't know how many hours into designing a set of tail lights for this car. So like all the computer work that he's doing is like probably 10, 12 hours just to do this tail light lens. And then all they're concerned about is like print time. Like, oh, how long does it take to print? It's like, well, no, you don't just pay for the 3 hours it's going to take to print. It's like, this is like a 20-hour process here. But everybody's perception of it, they think it's like, because we went on site, scanned it, and it's like, that's it, you're done. Like, oh, you just scan it and now you print it. You're like, there's this whole design time in between that is not appreciated. And it's like the casualness that's associated to it that I see with people coming in, like, hey, I need this. Can you just scan it? I was like, sure I can. But what do you want me to do with that? And like, I'm just taking a really whizzy picture of it that's worthless. It's like now Alex has got to put days into it. And like all these little tiny things. And even that's not perfect. I went and tested it this morning. That's why I was a few minutes late. And it's like, we move this to 16, do this. Like now there's another version of it. And it's like, it's just like, because we do it and we haven't necessarily put the process out properly. Like, we try to do these little videos and show him doing all the design things. Even other shops is like, hey, this car's got to leave on Saturday. You're like, well, it's probably leaving without tail lights then.
Well, you get it. You get it. That's why we're here, actually, because I was a guest on your podcast discussing this general concept, which is the general public and people in general. We just don't, I think CGI artists and just artists in general are often very bad at communicating their value. It's a big problem. It's been a problem forever, because what we do is, it almost feels like we shouldn't be, it's so fun when we're doing it, so it doesn't feel right to combine it with commerce. If that makes sense. It's almost like this, it's like playing video games or something. It's like, it's not that pleasurable, but it's something in that like realm in your mind. So us communicating it, because Carlos and I are not cheap. When we get paid to do this stuff, it's expensive. And like, it's not like when I did the Batmobile, for example, like it's not cheap. Like when you get my time and I'm dedicating my time to doing a project, it's expensive. But not everybody understands that. So they might look at this and go like, understandably, being uneducated, they might not understand like, well, why, and all the cost of it. And that's totally fine. It's not for them to buy into, but there's what Carlos and I are doing to remedy that, to answer your question, is we have a YouTube channel, and we've just been stockpiling. So we have about 7 episodes, and each episode we're doing a design build breakdown of each car independently.
Oh, wow.
And we're doing a deep dive into it, our decisions, why we did it, and all these things, our hardships, the problems, the failures that we encountered. It's a very honest thing, and we're hoping that little bit will build up an understanding of value and stuff like that as well too. Because, but yeah, it's probably one of the biggest hurdles. And also because we do like rendering and we're pretty good at it, people just go like, "Can you just render a car?" And we're like, "Yeah, we could do that, but like we're not interested in that necessarily. We want to be tickled further than that. Tickle us deeply." We want to design the car, we want to go and have the whole thing, but we realize that that's like a huge endeavor that takes a huge amount of capital. Like if we were to be paid for this concept, it would have been, this whole other thing. The reason why it's working is because we're doing this collaborative effort. We're all investing our time, talent, and energy, and the main reason is because we believe in what we're all doing together, and that's what's making it's really fun, so it's a new journey. So
that was part of our conversation at the beginning, is like the opportunity is like, if we had to pay for this is not something we could ever afford, like, because like if the small things that we've done cost this much, like this must be crazy. So like we know the number that we think this car is going to cost to produce, which is substantial. It's crazy. I'm not going to say it out loud because
Yeah, your girl's listening.
I don't want any problems just in case she is listening. but it's probably equal to what your side of it is too. So it's like you know, there's a lot of time, there's a lot of hour, there's a lot of things involved to get to this point. And us coming from a fabrication background, this was like a very common thing on the shop floor back in the day, because like maybe you would overhear what the engineering part of the job cost or the drawings. It's like they're getting twice as much as us to build it. You're like, well, they've already built it here and they have to carry the load of making sure that it works and all this kind of stuff. And all we're doing is welding a bunch of pipes together. It's not a big deal. Like, calm down. Like, our part's pretty simple. But, like, because we're building this physical thing, their value placed on it is, like, more than your stack of drawings. And you're like, well, we don't have one without the other here, fellas.
Yeah.
So
it's a weird thing that you see in I think Carlos and I both encounter with the general population, is that people, understandably, they just go, like, they don't see the value in it because they take it for granted. And I understand that. The thing with art or anything creative is, like, the final viewer doesn't have any context usually to the process in which it was made, and therefore there's no value attached to it. That's when you need to explain and educate people and get people to understand. I think, like, if I look back at, like, watching Chip Foose draw and design things, I think it really helped open that concept to general population. Like, no, there's a person behind this that has to think about it and problem solve on paper. And you might go, I have this story that I always tell. It's one of my favorite stories from Picasso. Picasso is at a party, and I'm paraphrasing this story, but he was at a party, and this is when he's later in his career, and this woman comes up to him like, oh, Picasso, blah, 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 can you do my portrait? He said, sure. And he took a napkin out and then drew her, like, quickly, her silhouette. And she's like, oh my God, it only took you like a second to draw that. And he's like, my dear, it's taken me 50 years to draw that. It's accumulation. It's everything is, all this action is all accumulated. And it's the same for you guys as building things. It's like, it's been years of figuring out how metal bends and how it adheres to one another and how it fits in fixtures and how to cut it and where to cut it and heat and what glove to wear at what time. It's like all these little tertiary little things, they all add up. And I think when the physical world is so important because we all live in it, I think we don't realize that there's another world that's also very valuable. I think we see it now with social media and everybody, like, kind of living on those spaces. But there is an intrinsic value, and thank you for saying that, and we appreciate that, because we realize it's like a kind of a huge uphill battle for us to kind of explain, like, well, no, this is a lot of work, and this is a lot of time, it's a lot of consideration. And we're not saying that the other side, like Carlos was saying, that guy got all butthurt about whatever, whatever, like, just the bottom feeder, whatever. Like,
yeah. But it's true. It's really hard to explain ourselves. I remember even my mom, another example of my mom. Like, so, Carlos, what you do with the computer? Yeah, basically, I put in the sun. So you draw the sun? No, I'm telling the computer to put the sun there and make a picture. So the computer is doing for you. So what you do, actually, what the computer is doing for you. So what you do in the computer? Nothing. The computer is not for you. So what is the value there? So it's really hard to explain.
Yeah, that's an honest thing. But then if you sit your mom down and say, okay, now make me an awesome image that moves me emotionally, she's not going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you see?
Yeah.
That's going back to the fab shop. Is like, all of this is essentially a roadmap. So it's an easy thing to say and do, but if it's like, hey, you go to Spain, no map, and see how well you fare. Like, it's, so it's like all these things that get you to where you're going. Even if it's just an image, it's like, I have some direction. I have a way to start moving. Whereas if it's like, hey, make me a super cool car based off of this, and you just,
what do I do here? Yeah,
like,
where do I start?
Where do I start? What do I do? What's the first step? Like, and then who knows what? Wow, we see it happen a lot, actually, and we know how that works out. So there is examples of that very, very approach and where you end up. But yeah, we're trying to be smarter these days.
Actually, guys, I've been watching you guys explain the AMG GT.
Oh, we got a lot of heat for that one.
It was amazing watching you guys explaining the behind the scene, the process of taking that cheap body kit.
But that's one of those things where it's like not being able to give the entire context of the situation. Like this guy took it to a shop, they took his money, they sold his parts, now he's stuck with this kit. He had no intentions of ever buying this kit. He was actually charged for a quality kit, given this in its place, and then there's like this timeline thing, like sure, you could just go buy another kit, but it might be 5 or 6 months out, and now we got this $150,000 car just sitting around, depreciating. So it's like you got to weigh it out. Like, okay, we can turn this into something good, or we could buy this, and then even at that point, it might be another month and a half, or do we just get to it now and get an end result? So it's like, of course, people have like, oh, why don't you do this? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do this? And it's like, well, so it's hard to give all the context. Like we tried to. If you watch all the parts, we touch it on all of it. But most people are only invested in
the
they can look at the top and it's like part 18. It's like, well, if you go back to the previous 17 parts, we'll give you some context. So in one aspect, it's been amazing, and a lot of people really appreciate it. But there is the guy that's like, oh, you're just trying to make this fake thing, and it's like, no, like you're making it seem malicious, like we're trying to cheat somebody. And if that was the case, I definitely wouldn't be making a video about it. Like I would just do it and put it out there. Like it's such a wild thing. So, but I mean, for the most part, it's been like probably 95% positive.
We should talk about that a little bit too, because it's really interesting. Is that context in the public space is like, it seems like everybody, not everybody, but there's this weird thing around cars where people are entitled to their truth. I don't know how to describe it, and we all have it, and I think it's ego driven, and I think there's some sort of weird machismo thing, but it's almost like you're doing something and your dad comes in and he's like, you're doing it all wrong, you know, whatever it is. It's like, dude, what the hell? But everybody can just like keyboard warrior their way through their own truth, and it's like, dude. So it's a weird thing, how people feel like this weird entitlement to be able to speak what they feel is their truth. But yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting thing, because people. Yeah, I personally, I'm not designed for it. So Carlos knows this. I basically I post and I'm out. It's like I let the world, like, I'm not there to tell people what my intention is, and it saves my mental health. So it's like, and sometimes I'll catch a little bit. Like I saw that guy's comment. I was just like. And I was like, okay, let's see your credentials. And I was like, yeah, you're making garbage. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, you're literally making rubbish. Like, yeah, but it's like, well, that doesn't make me feel good too. Because I'm like, why would somebody say that? And then I don't want to be like giving it back to them too. So it's like,
I usually just ask them for their credentials, and they usually fade away. And it's like, well, I didn't say it was bad. It's just not the way I'd have done it. And then it's like, a lot of it is like, it's weird because in that space, it's like, literally spare no expense. Like everything is absolutely spare no expense, and there's only one way to do it. Every single thing needs to be like a full-on
Formula One car
restoration, or it should be a Formula One car. And you're like, well, this guy drives this car every single day. He wanted to spend a certain amount of money on it, and we did it within what he asked us to do, and it's fine. And it's like, but it's like, you should have stripped that to bare metal. And it's like,
okay, thanks, bro.
Okay, so we're going to do a $250,000 restoration on a $200,000 car. So like maybe 15 years from now, when this car is worth $800,000, that might be justified. But right now, he just wants it to look nice, and he drives it literally every single day, which I think is pretty awesome.
That is super cool.
So it's like, but everything, like we do it this way, is like, okay, well, can you show me an example of what you've done? And then there never is one. There hasn't been one. It's like, I've been doing this longer than you've been alive. It's like, buddy, I'm 50 years old. Like, calm down. Like, I might not look 50, but you know, like, it's not. Let me tell you, in your elite level shop that I'm sure exists someplace, every single car you've ever painted is from bare steel.
Yeah.
No, it never is.
Not possible. That's not
possible.
That's like, who does that?
Nobody does that.
A good line for you is to say, thanks, buddy, invoice me. My friends do this too. Like, oh, you should do this. I'm like, thanks, bitch, spend my money more. I don't give a fuck. Are you my bank account? Like, shut the fuck up, man.
So I usually got to get like 1 or 2 comments in, and then the internet takes over for me.
That's always nice. That's always.
And then my new one is like, well, you may not be able to do it, and that's fine, but I can. And then it's like,
see, that comes back to that's his chess game.
Yeah.
mental chess. Yeah. Well, it's difficult when you're out there doing what you're doing and you're doing the best that you can, and the right people are recognizing it, and that's the best thing possible too. But it's a very polarizing thing, this whole space too. It's like interesting, like I can't wrap my head around it.
Seems to only be automotive, but mind you, this is my bubbles. But it seems to be specifically in the automotive space. And then since doing this and not really giving a shit, it's like the amount of other shops that have reached out to me and they're like, "Thank you for saying that. You got to tell them this. You got to do this." And it's like, it's just reality. Like there's different versions of everything, and not everything has to be, It's very much that thing. Like we did a little goofy wing thing just for fun, just to make it a little more dynamic. And it's like, why didn't you use this? Why didn't you use that? And it's like, because I'm not McLaren, and I don't honestly believe that this is going to have, that's not going to stop your car. It's like, well, of course it's not. Like, it's
just going to the grocery store.
It's literally, it's a toy. Like you guys are forgetting it's a toy. And I didn't want to invest $500,000 into, like it's crazy. But anyways, I'm rambling.
No, you're good.
Yeah, so we should talk about it again.
It's intention. But I was just curious about that because I know that you guys are public facing, and that's like the automotive space has an incredible amount of awesome people, but it also has a very toxic side of things, and we face it and deal with it ourselves. But but it's so polarizing too. But at the same time, it's really beautiful because there's a lot of people that are like, this is rad, this is cool, and
So when you guys are not doing automotive stuff, do you guys see that as well, or no? In like your like comment or anything, or is it just all positive? Because sometimes you do like some abstract stuff, or you do, I don't know. So what do you guys?
I think there's insecurities rampant on everywhere. Yeah, so I think it's just humanity, really. I think there's a lot of people that are fucking awesome, and I think there's a lot of people that are just really sad and lonely and don't have enough love in their life, and they found this thing they called a phone, and they just let it all out there, and it's like, damn, dude.
I think that's a real thing, because I'll get like to a certain point where it's like, okay, you're treating this like a job. We're not having a conversation anymore. We're not having a debate. You just like are trying to win something, but there's nothing to win. And then I just block them. Carlos knows this. I treat my social media like North Korea, man. I'm just like,
like I
like interacting to a certain point, but when it's not making sense anymore, that's usually when I'm like, I gotta listen and be like, okay, cool, yeah, I could have used that. But then when it's like gets the like,
toxic.
What are you trying to win here? There's nothing to win.
What I like to think when I see this comment is people's lacking of understanding how to explain themselves.
Yeah.
So they just literally saying the last word, which is just a statement.
Yeah.
If you read that, it's just a statement. But for his mind, it's like I give you a whole breakdown how to make this better. So I'm participating with you. I'm collaborating with you and give you my advice. But when you read that, it's just, that sucks.
The whole 10-line thing is just...
Then it's like, yeah, you sucks. All right.
Oh my gosh.
I care to explain why? Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about like specifics on engines and suspension and all that. So we'll save that.
We can save that for your part.
Yes, we can we can save that for your part too.
Awesome.
So
down to do a part 2 if you want as well. So it's up to you guys.
Yeah, we might have to, because I think this thing is going to be.
Yeah, but I think it's also an ongoing thing. So as we build or as
things
things
come
change.
up to Vancouver too, so maybe I've never been up there, and it's such a beautiful city, and I have friends up there, and so I'd love to, if at all possible, come and see you guys and hang out and stuff. And
you have to come at least some point.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah, it'd be amazing.
Yeah. And so, we will resume this conversation on your podcast. So I know.
Yeah, we haven't even released them yet. So maybe, we'll see.
So if you guys do not know, you guys can tell the people what the name of you guys' podcast is, and then they can find us there again, I guess.
Yeah, we'll just be on our YouTube channel, right, Carlos?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it'll just be Make Haste Corp YouTube, I guess. So, yeah.
Sweet. So,
good job. We promoted the hell out of that.
Looking forward to seeing that channel, and I'm really hoping that you guys get the love and respect on that channel that you guys deserve for your efforts, for putting that out there like that. For having the cojones to sit on the edge of the cliff and wave to us guys as we sit on the edge across the canyon.
That's a very, very vivid.
Let's do a super jump right now. In the middle. Yeah.
So thank you guys so much for watching this, for listening as well. If you liked this, give it a thumbs up. Check out all of the channels. Everything will be in the description below. And we will see you guys later. Bye.